At the Thailand Masters 2019, almost nobody expected this final. On one side stood LIN DAN, a two-time Olympic champion, five-time world champion, and one of the greatest players the sport has ever seen. Ranked world number 13 and seated first at the Thailand Masters, he was widely expected to capture the title. On the other side was a 21-year-old LOH KEAN YEW, ranked just world number 125 in the world. Forced to start from the qualifying rounds, the young Singaporean had already battled through 6 matches, simply to earn his place in the final. To most badminton fans, he was an unknown challenger standing across the net from a living legend. Yet, against all odds, LOH KEAN YEW refused to let LIN DAN's reputation affect him. And few could have imagined that this unlikely final would become one of the most remarkable stories of the 2019 season. From the opening rally, it was clear that the battle would be won at the net. Both players fought to gain the initiative through tight net exchanges, knowing that whoever forced the lift would earn the first attacking opportunity.
Three in a row for... No! But precision! Quick, flat, hard drives there.
Interestingly, LIN DAN often chose to lift during these exchanges, trusting his world-class defense to absorb LOH's attack before looking for a chance to counter. That gave LOH plenty of opportunities to attack, and the young Singaporean made good use of them. Rather than rushing for winners, he built his attacks patiently, maintaining the pressure while waiting for LIN DAN to produce a weaker reply.
And, well, always good to win those long... Oh, that's nicely done. It's the former world number 1. You just can't.
Watch how LIN DAN changes his approach at the net. He starts holding the shuttle longer before releasing it, disguising whether he'll play a tight net shot or lift. This removes LOH's ability to anticipate the shot. As a result, LOH is forced to react instead of predict, giving LIN DAN a decisive timing advantage that leads to multiple outright winners.
Oh, the master control. They'll know what to expect. Oh! There, the 35-year-old. He's put in a really big these players for the Olympic qualification, Tokyo 2020. Oh, brilliant!
LIN DAN once again attempted to vary at the net. This time, LOH KEAN YEW anticipated it and responded well. Soon, LIN DAN extended his advantage to 18-12, putting himself firmly in control of the opening game.
Has won 3 out of the last 4 points here. Oh, he's made it. Oh, super.
LOH managed to claw back 2 points to reduce the deficit to 18-14. But a misplaced lift handed LIN DAN his 19th point, leaving the young Singaporean on the brink. Against a player of LIN DAN's caliber, a 5-point deficit at this stage of the game is usually insurmountable. Many players would have accepted the inevitable, but LOH KEAN YEW refused to. Instead of forcing low percentage winners, He stayed composed, trusted his game plan, and continued to challenge Lin Dan point by point, proving that his run to the final was no fluke.
Oh, he's missed it.
For the first time in the game, it was Lin Dan who had to think about closing it out. Loh, meanwhile, had nothing to lose. He played with increasing confidence, taking every opportunity to attack while remaining disciplined in the longer exchanges.
That's gone. Five points in a row now.
At the most critical moment of the game, world number 125 LOH KEAN YEW showed remarkable composure, dictating the rallies instead of playing like a man fighting to stay alive.
Well, he's got luck on his Singapore, ranked 125 in the world. He takes it!
And from 14 to 19 down, LOH KEAN YEW stunned the arena with 7 consecutive points, completing a remarkable comeback to take the first game 21-19 against Lin Dan. In the second game, the intensity rose even higher, with both players starting at a far greater pace than in the opening game.
Less as well. Played 6, won 6 matches. Title cabinet. Trophy cabinet, I should say. Well taken. Times he's been in this kind of predicament, Lin Dan. He is the escapologist supreme. If anybody can...
Lin Dan came out with clear intent in the second game, unleashing multiple smash winners to signal his fight back. On the other hand, LOH KEAN YEW began to commit a series of unforced errors, allowing the momentum to swing firmly in Lin Dan's favor as the lead quickly widened.
Chinese. That will hurt. Heads to the turn with
Even luck seemed to be against LOH KEAN YEW at times. At one point, Lin Dan had stretched his lead to 13-6, seemingly taking full control of the second game, with most expecting a deciding third game to follow. However, few would have expected what came next. Just as in the opening game, LOH KEAN YEW refused to fade. He reset his focus, simplified his game, and began to rebuild the rallies point by point. Instead of forcing the issue, he returned to his core pattern: tight net exchanges, disciplined shot selection, and patience in longer rallies.
Oh, that is rifled that one straight into the ball. There was a flurry from the man in the red shirt, and there is right.
Gradually, the errors that once cost him points began to disappear. Lin Dan was still producing quality shots, but Loh was now absorbing the pressure more effectively and turning defense into controlled counterattacks.
Oh, that is brilliant. Again, a run. Oh, yes. Look at that, look at that. How does he do that?
For the second time in this match, the world number 125 was staging a comeback from deep behind, turning what seemed like a routine victory for Lin Dan into a dramatic battle that was far from over.
2 points adrift. Look. Too greedy there.
LIN DAN, who had looked completely in control just moments earlier at 13-6, started to make a series of uncharacteristic errors and found himself giving away free points at key moments. And that immediately opened the door for LOH KEAN YEW.
13-6 down in this game. Oh, he's making
a fantastic counter-attacking play from LOH KEAN YEW brought him back level at 17-all from 13-6 deficit.
To the second game. LIN DAN over press.
In the end, this was more than just a final. It was a statement from a world number 125 qualifier who had battled through 6 matches just to stand across the net from one of the greatest players in badminton history. It was a reminder that rankings mean little once the shuttle is in play, and that belief can sometimes outweigh reputation. LIN DAN brought experience, control, and moments of brilliance. But LOH KEAN YEW brought something else entirely. Fearless resilience, the ability to absorb pressure, and the courage to challenge a legend point by point. From 2 massive deficits, from the edge of defeat in both games, LOH showed that his run to the final was no accident. Whatever the outcome on the scoreboard, this match marked the arrival of a player who refused to be defined by ranking, expectation, or name value. And in a tournament that was supposed to belong to LIN DAN, a new name forced the world to take notice.
LIN DAN today. I feel very happy that I actually get to play with him. So it's already an honor. And winning him, I think I feel even more happy.